Nini everyone, Zabora here. So we're going to be covering Khonsu the moon god. I said we would be doing this in a previous video, so here it is. Now, his name means the traveler. In the south of Egypt, he was said to be the son of Amun and Mut. In the north, he was the son of Ptah and Sekhmet. And in Kom Ombo, he was the son of Hathor and Sobek. He was usually shown as a falcon-headed man or as a child wearing the sidelock of youth, which was a common depiction of children. They would actually have a little patch of hair off to the side of their head that was braided and would be shaved off once the child reached adulthood. His usual headdress is represented as a full moon above a crescent moon, which was typical of moon deity depictions. Tahuti also wears this crown. The earliest references to Khonsu make him a terrifying figure. He was the angry one of the gods, who strangled lesser deities and ate the hearts of the dead. Later he was associated with fate, judgment, and punishment, and in the Roman period it was children and good fortune. A baboon form of Khonsu was feared as the keeper of the books of the end of the year. These were the books in which the gods wrote the names of those who were going to die during the year. People appealed to a gentler aspect of the god, Khonsu the Merciful, to alter the decrees of fate. It was mainly for his ferocious qualities that Khonsu was involved in spells to oppose powerful demons. An inscription dating to around the 4th century BCE relates how a statue of Khonsu was sent to help a foreign princess who was possessed by a spirit. The story is set 900 years earlier in the reign of Ramses II. It tells how Ramses married a princess of the distant land of Bakatan. While the king and queen were celebrating a festival in Thebes, news came that the queen's sister, Bentresh, was very ill. King Ramses sent a learned scribe to Bakatan. He diagnosed that the princess's illness was caused by a spirit that was too powerful for him to fight. The princess of Bakatan asked the king of Egypt to send him a god who could fight the spirit. Ramses consulted the oracle of Khonsu at Karnak and was told to send a statue that was inhabited by a special manifestation known as Khonsu who determines fate, the great god who drives out diseased demons. The divine statue arrived in Bakatan after a journey of 17 months. The god created magical protection for the princess, and she became well at once. The prince of Bakatan and his soldiers watched in terror as Khonsu conversed with the spirit he was driving out. Khonsu ordered the prince to make offerings to placate the spirit so that it would never return. The prince was so impressed with the power of the divine statue that he decided to keep it in Bakatan. After several years, the god appeared to the prince in a dream, making it clear that he wanted to go home. The prince did not dare keep the statue any longer and sent it back to Egypt with many rich gifts for the temple of Khonsu. The temple of Khonsu at Karnak is very well preserved. One of its walls has a text dedicated to it, known as the Khonsu cosmogony. It's a type of text that explains the origin of the world. In this version, Khonsu is identified with the great snake who fertilized the cosmic egg and traveled to Thebes in his name of Khonsu the Traveler. Many of his followers are said that offerings he enjoys are silver or blue or pale-colored stones, such as moonstone, and fragrances that are calming, nothing too pungent, something like juniper or lavender. He's also partial to sweetbreads and fruits, games, and toys. Some of his feast days, besides the New Year and the last day of the year, or Day of Moset, Khonsu is joined by Mut and in her sailing festival in early winter. Khonsu's biggest festival season occurs during the month bearing his name. A feast on both the first day of Pa Khonsu and the last day, plus a going forth of Khonsu in what is now April, celebrated his birth and the good fortune he can bestow as a lunar deity. He is honored at the new moon and the first crescent especially. Now, I do have a prayer chant, whatever you want to call it, to Khonsu the Child from Sharon the Board. These were composed from idipiths used in the temples and private monuments dedicated to Khonsu. Khonsu the child, very great, firstborn of a moon, godly youth, sweet of love, king of all children, babe born alive, who repeats birth like the sun disk, who represents the renewal of Ra in Thebes, babe in the morning, old man in the evening, youth who renews at the proper times, who arrives as an infant after his old age, whom Mutbut gave birth to in Thebes as an august child, the living one in his manifestation of Khepri, Ra after his repeated births, a tomb in the evening within the entrance of Manu, Iris of the Ujat, Horus as the young child, babe of Amun Ra, lord of food, plentiful of sustenance, lord of offerings who gives to those he loves. So hope this has been enlightening. That's it for tonight, guys. Sunapti.